What is happening, good people? We are here to record Macro Dirt Podcast number 33. I'm here with Jared Albert Einstein himself, Dillian. What's going on, my man?
What's up, Furburger?
Furburger's good. Oh, man. I tell you, you are becoming a human Albert Einstein one man mashup. It really is. Between the brains and the gray, curly hair and everything, it's really coming together.
The hair is not done. It's gonna go down to like here. Like I'm
I
gonna
know.
grow it out. So
I'm excited.
yeah,
I'm
I'm a little impatient. Yeah,
excited. You can't be impatient with hair growth, pal.
yeah.
You get what you get. You're the master of that. So you said something in the dirt nap today that I really liked. There are days when decades happen, and this is where we're at right now. Why don't you unpack a little bit of that, right?
I think we need a name for what's going on. We don't have a name for it. Like you can call it the Doge movement or you can call it the Trump movement, but it's actually bigger than that. Like it's kind of an anti-bureaucracy movement. It's kind of an anti-government movement, but it's bigger than that. I don't really know how to put a name on it, but it started with Malay last year and it's moved to the US and it's going global. It's going global, you know.
Like
Uh,
wildfire.
yeah, like wildfire. Um, it's going to happen in Canada. They're going to elect Pierre. It's going to happen in Europe. You wait and see. The next UK election is going to be won by the Reform Party for sure.
Yeah.
So, and it's unstoppable. And it's almost like one of the things I tried to talk about in that newsletter was there. It's really, I think there's sometimes in history that there's kind of like a change in social psychology or mass consciousness that is profound. Like if
Mm.
you go back to the 60s, the Great Awakening and the protests and Woodstock and the hippies and stuff like that, like it's something like that. There is something that has changed in our collective consciousness about our relationship with government, you know. And the Democrats are like standing athwart this, yelling "stop," and everyone's like, "Go fuck yourself!" Like it's not happening. Like nobody's paying any attention to you. So
Yeah, that is the great part, and that's why the movement that you're talking about, in my opinion, is so powerful, right? It's like you see these doofuses like Pocahontas and Bernie Sanders, trying to tell you that they don't take money from pharma, and Scott Galloway is out there, calling for the Doge movement to be stopped. It's like, who the hell are you? The president had an agenda to stop the spending and look into why it spiraled out of control. He hired Elon Musk to do
dude,
that.
did you see the Scott Galloway and Kara Swisher podcast where they're calling for like the Doge people to be put in jail and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Are
yeah. I
you out
do.
of your fucking mind?
They're out of their fucking minds, dude. They think they're like activists or something like that. Like nobody even cares what they says. One's a professor, the other one's a journalist, like a shit lib journalist, like card carrying shit lib journalist. And it's like, who the hell you guys think you're going to stop? And no matter how many people listen to your podcast, like nobody is stopping what's going on. So, but I don't think much of Scott Galloway since he blocked me on January 7th after the big January 6th event when I said everything that you're seeing was a total hoax. Turned out to be right. But anyway, he'll probably not unblock me for that. But
I got
yeah,
blocked by Tom Lee.
did you for what?
Yeah, so I was like, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I keep seeing these ads for Tom Lee, like his newsletter or service or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like these terrible ads, like you can make 100% a year and all this stuff. So I went on Twitter and I was like, Tom Lee is, I didn't say he was a fraud, but I'm like, he's running these really scammy ads on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it got back, I didn't even tag him, and it got back to him. And he's like, yeah, those are fake ads. Like those are scammers, like they're imposters. I'm like, dude, those are pretty realistic ads. And if I was you, I would do something about that. Like using your name and likeness to like sell some kind of scammy product, and you're just not doing anything about it, you know?
Dude, perception is reality. If you thought there was him, then he's got a problem if they're
Yeah,
fake, right? And if he's got a problem that they're fake, then why is he blocking you? Like,
I know.
like where there's no logic path there whatsoever. But I want to go back to your original comment because I want to talk about the movement a little bit because, like, I was off the screens for a week, but I saw, like, DEI getting shot dead everywhere right before your eyes, USAID blatantly exposed, the whole thing. And what gets exciting is that it feels like it's just getting started. At least that's how I feel, and especially since there's no real meaningful pushback. um, I think Trump has been saying a couple of clues about the media. He said something about Huffington Post, like, "Oh, aren't they dead already? I thought they were dead." I think that he knows that all of the money that was backing the entire mainstream media was coming from USAID, or Big Pharma, and the USAID side is all about to go to zero. And I think that a lot of the mainstream media companies are going to be absolutely gone, maybe in the next year or two, if not
Yeah,
less.
I was thinking that too. Like NBC News,
CBS,
Yep.
the ones that really seemed like they were card carrying, like, mouthpieces for the regime, and then learning that USAID was funding so much of it and, coordinating the whole message. You're like, holy shit, like, this
Dude, you
whole
just
thing is
keep
going to
pulling
come.
that string and pulling that string. Dude, the stuff that we are going to find out is just going to be mind-boggling. I mean, this is only the first couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. We're at the point of uncovering corruption at a level where I'm predicting that we will hear that somebody takes their own life before they get caught doing something extremely
Yep.
corrupt, like in a very serious way, not like they got Epsteined or anything like that. Like, they were like, "Oh, no, 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 before this goes public, I'm out of here." And that feels like the part of the empire that we're in right now. So I guess we should go on to the markets because we could probably philosophize on
Well,
America.
I mean, it's kind of connected to the market. So
Yeah,
in my piece today, I got bullish,
I
right?
heard that. I heard
Yes.
that. I put that in my Slack channel. I said, "Welcome, JD."
Yeah. So, I started to think about it. I mean, sometimes when I do my sentiment work, it's like reverse psychology and reverse psychology and reverse psychology, and you tie yourself up in fucking knots. And and what I said was, I was like, yeah, 4 years of Trump are priced in. It's all priced in. And after 2 weeks of this, I'm like, this is not priced in.
Right.
This is much bigger. So from a technical standpoint, we've been kind of in a range for 2.5 months, like we talked about last time, and we are up against the upper end of the range.
Mm-hmm.
We got about 50 S&P points, and we're going to be off to new highs. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah. And, I feel like the market's last event that it was working off was the NVIDIA DeepSeek story. And, if you look at NVIDIA, it just popped another 50 cents from where it was trading. It's 135 bid, right? It's about to overcome moving average resistance. It's about to make believe the thing never happened with DeepSeek, and it's about to get on its path and make a new high soon. Like, that seems pretty obvious to me. So if you're going to put a shot to the bow across the most popular stock in the most popular sector, and it's going to come roaring back, your thesis for a bear market or a curl over are gone,
yeah,
in my opinion. So
yeah.
that's how I'm looking at it. Gold. Let's talk about gold. She's roaring. You
Gold
had that one
sucks. I
nailed.
hate
Gold.
gold.
Why do
Fuck
you hate
gold.
gold?
No, I'm joking.
Uh, yeah.
I
Well, you nailed it. We nailed it on the show. We said
yeah.
through 2,800, it's going to scoot. We made it a $100 rally in 7 sessions, which is pretty fast for gold. And what are your thoughts on the last propulsion? What's the reason for the last range break? Is there something specific, or is it just a matter of time in a bull trend?
I think the trend followers are starting to get a hold of this, and it's. I mean, look, what I will say from a technical standpoint, if there was a time to take profits, it's tomorrow, which is today. Like, so Tuesday, I assume we're publishing this Tuesday, right? So,
Yes.
yeah. So there's going to be a DeMark 13 on Tuesday. So if you've been riding it up since 2780 and you're a tactical trader, you might want to take some profits. But even that seems like a terrible idea. Like, gold is not going to stop at 3,000, right? It's not going to get to 3,000 and hit resistance and fail and trade off 50%. Like, that's not going to happen. 3,000 is going to be a waypoint on the way to 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is that the gold miners today are starting to wake up. Gold miners were up about 4 or 5% today. That chart's starting to look a little bit better. I got a lot of gold miners. I get a lot of gold miners, man. If gold miners went up 200%, I would be a very happy guy. So,
Well, they just had the best month of any sector on the board in January. They were up 15%
yep.
in January, which is massive. And we have to talk about January for just a moment because I think there's a couple of good tells there. When January is up over 2%, the S&P is up 88% of the time for the year, and for a total of, wait for it, 18.5% gain. Good reason to throw in the towel on a bearish idea in the S&P. You've got the odds working aggressively against
Yep.
you. And then we just have January, two things. We had relative commodity strength again. Dollar index was pretty flat. The BCOM was up 3.5%, and that's with natural gas going down 15%.
Yeah, the commodity index is ripping. It is.
It's
Yeah.
holding on. It is swimming upstream. It has
Yeah.
got, headwinds in its face, and the thing is still going up, which is shocking to me. So that we're going to hold on to that view that, something is going to happen. Maybe there's a couple of major magnitude pullbacks in the dollar through the bottom of the range where it just pulled back to and then found the middle again. But maybe that's the dollar pullback that really sets them flying. Who knows? But we'll see. But those are important things when you follow those tells on the month, man.
One thing I want to point out is, the steel and aluminum tariffs were announced Sunday night, like right before the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I checked my phone to see what it did to the dollar, and the dollar was up about 20 basis points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, when we first started getting these tariff tape bombs, the dollar would be up like 100 basis points. And also, stocks went down on the news, but 15 minutes later, they were up, right? So the impact of these tariff headlines is getting smaller and smaller,
It's
So,
fair to, at this point, look at markets and say that they are future predictors, right? Like the dollar priced all that in as Trump was getting elected, sworn in, right? Like that's when it all happened. So now they're going to get, diminishing marginal utility on the tariff headlines. So, yeah, sorry, I had a little brain fart there. I was trying to think of something else. I also just got back from a long trip that was fantastic, but I took a red eye back and I still haven't recovered from it.
I never take red eyes. Red eyes are the worst.
I love them because I love traveling through airports at wee hours of the morning. So when I take off, like if there's a 5 a.m. flight to go somewhere, I'm on it. So the red eye is just the reverse, where you're in the airport late at night. It's less crowded. You're getting to your destination earlier than anybody else. There's nobody there. So that's my traveling philosophy, JD. Like it or not. What else have we got in the markets to discuss? Oh, what are your thoughts on oil stocks, man? They're still ripping from last week when we talked about this.
Yeah.
I noticed the price action, and oil is, with the price action in oil stocks, I expected oil to be like 75, 80 bid again, and it's still at $72. Like, why are oil stocks so strong?
I don't know, but I have a subscriber who is a technician,
Yeah.
and he doesn't bat 1,000, but he's pretty good. And he had been saying for quite a while that 72 was going to be the low in crude. So I take that for what it's worth.
We'll see. If it's a low and it keeps going, then maybe that explains why the oil stocks are getting out ahead of themselves. Maybe they got oversold in that last growth scare that we had, and now people have to buy them back. So there's a lot of different scenarios, but it's cool to see on days like today. This is one of the reasons why I tell people not to get too bearish the S&P, just because tech is coming off. Days like today, you've got 2 Sigma plus rallies in XME, industrial miners, XOP, oil and gas, that's US and Canada, and oil services and gold miners. 2 Sigma rallies. So these are powerful moves that are happening in natural resources under the hood here. Don't fall asleep on this stuff. Don't fall asleep on this stuff, because if I'm wrong and NVIDIA doesn't just go back into trend mode and semiconductors remain sideways and a source of funds, we're still seeing those sectors that broke out when Trump got elected breaking out and posting big rallies.
Yeah.
Social media was up. Cloud storage was up. Cybersecurity was all up big in January. So the ones that got telegraphed when Trump got elected are following through and finishing strong at the end of the month. Those are the tire tracks on the tape that I want to follow. Should we go off markets? JD's nuts.
Yeah.
Super Bowl, man. Let's hack it up. What a great Super Bowl. It had everything, the game, the commercials, the halftime show. For me, it had everything. Give me your take and I'll follow it up.
I was rooting for the Chiefs. I was. I wanted to see the three-peat, you know.
Oh, boorish. Boorish. How could you root for them when Travis Kelsey walks into the locker room with that, 70s porn star leisure suit that he was wearing? You know what I mean? Like that guy is like, I think he's trying to make people dislike him.
Mahomes is a Jeter-like character. He usually finds a way to win. You know what I
Mahomes
mean?
does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was, I was rooting for him. They got fucking dominated in the first half. I mean, just absolutely dominated.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Tom Brady's watch. Everybody's talking about his watch.
Let's talk about that.
He had, if you Google Tom Brady's watch, you'll see it. It's a Jacob and Co. watch, which I'd never heard of before. Like, it's always great when I hear of a luxury brand I've never heard of before.
Who is that?
I don't know. It's some dude. The watch was $740,000. He was wearing a $740,000 watch.
He must have bought that before he got rinsed in Bitcoin, huh?
Before he got rinsed by FTX. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was just saying you don't spend $750 after you get rinsed by FTX. That's for sure. That was pretty cool. And put it this way, I just love the GOAT. I still think he's the greatest player in the freaking sport of football, in the history of the sport, and I'll argue with anybody that he is. So it's great to have him commenting on the games.
You ever see Tom Brady run a 40?
He looks like a goose with a busted hip.
Yeah.
Right?
He's so slow.
He's like flat-footed.
I know.
He's a little bit knock-kneed. Like, you know what I mean? He looks like he's a little bit hippie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is. I mean, he looks like he's got it in very good shape now. I mean, the guy looks like $1 million, and I'm not knocking him. I have a man crush on him the size of Mount Rushmore. But
I kiss him on the lips.
Yeah, totally. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Speaking of which, but how about another stud to kiss on the lips? Cooper DeJean, right? The kid it's on his 22nd birthday. He's playing in the Super Bowl as a rookie and has a pick six touchdown, right? Like,
Yep.
Astounding enough as it is, the hair on the back of my neck is standing up. Then today on Twitter, there's a video going around of him playing like high school and college basketball. He is like a wrecking ball on a basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. Like Vanilla Ice, Jason Williams type of player. He's dunking all over the place. Like, you can tell that this kid is a superior athlete, by a mile. So that was really cool to see. The crowd was decidedly Eagles. Like, you could hear, like, it sounded like an Eagles home game in New Orleans, which was kind of cool. First time president was at a Super Bowl game.
That was the first time?
First time ever.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow.
Me neither. And I would have thought so either. I would have thought that I pictured him in the stands at that.
But he got a big round of applause.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He gets a big round of applause. Taylor Swift goes on the big screen and gets booed.
Yep.
I mean, that is the cultural wildfire shift that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Dude, her Eras tour just was the biggest grossing tour in the history of tours, right? And like, all of a sudden she's at the Super Bowl getting booed a couple of months after the tour is over.
Yeah.
Shape shifting is going on.
Yeah.
Speaking of shape shifting, Kendrick Lamar, love him or hate him, I am not going to be the old man yelling at clouds saying that this halftime show sucks, this isn't Prince, blah, blah, blah. I thought what he did was iconic. I love the fact that there was American symbolism everywhere. I love that he is very quietly calling out Drake as a pedophile. And so everything that he was doing was right on time with me, even though I don't understand a lot of his lyrics and I don't really reach for his music all that much.
But you said your daughters love him.
My daughters love him. He's my eldest daughter's favorite artist. Like, literally, she listens to him on the reg. So that's one of the reasons, right? Like, when you're a kid, you remember who the people were that were saying, your music sucks. The Who, Led Zeppelin, turn that shit down. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that does that at all to my daughters,
I think Bruno Mars had a pretty good Super Bowl halftime show from like 6 or 7 years ago. That was pretty good.
That was entertaining. He had a good song to do.
Yep. Maroon 5, Adam Levine took his shirt off and everybody made fun of him.
Yeah, yeah. Then speaking of that, we had the costume issue, right? Justin Timberlake and Janet
That was
Jackson.
2003. That was a long time ago.
Long time ago, but I mean, could you think of a better like what is it, media spoof, like just to get attention? I mean, the whole world was talking about that for like 2 months.
Yeah, wardrobe malfunction.
Wardrobe
Yeah,
malfunction, that's
yeah,
what it was exactly.
yeah.
And
And the funny thing is about that is that Timberlake's career took off, and Janet Jackson went in the shitter.
yeah, she
Like,
was, yeah, she was on a trajectory lower, but yeah, she imploded right after that. That
yeah,
was not good for her. Really, totally true. But the other some cameo that I can't totally figure out, but having Serena Williams on doing what I am going to claim to have no idea what it is, called the Crip Walk or Crip Dance or something like that, right? That has to do with gangs, also something I know nothing about. But her doing that when her sister was killed by a gang member, there's something like in your face about that. Like, you guys fucked around and you're going to find out kind of messaging or something like that. I could be wrong, but that's how I saw it. What else off markets, JD, to cover? I mean, we could talk really about the Super Bowl for another half hour, but I want to see if there's anything else there to flesh out. That's interesting.
you know who I'm going to see on March 7th in Myrtle Beach?
Who's that?
Air Supply.
For what reason? You mean? I mean, are you guys like? Are the cats not going to be home that night? Why are you going to Air
So
Supply?
actually, when I was in middle school, I listened to Air Supply all the time. It was like they were like my favorite band in middle school. So
I remember the era when they were inescapable
yeah,
on the radio. It was like,
yeah,
one out of every 8 or 9 songs you were getting Air Supply, whether you liked it or
yeah.
not. Well, I mean, I go back for some oldies. I can't say that I'm going to go back for Air Supply. I am going to go see Nine Inch Nails.
Now
When,
you've seen them before, right?
yeah, man.
So
And
when they play live, do they play like the hard stuff? Do they play like?
they play the hardest shit in the catalog, dude. It
Do they
is,
really?
oh my God, it's such an experience. I can't even tell you. I was shaking, man. I walked out of, so I went to see him in 2009, which was the Wave Goodbye tour. And I had only seen him at Jones Beach twice before that. And that's a totally different vibe. It's a big outdoor concert, it's much more of a summer vibe. This show was at Terminal 5, which is like a sardine can. Literally, it's like a big square tin can with levels up all around it. And the floor is tight, like packed tight and sweaty. And it's enough that you don't mind it because the music is so intense. But man, it's one of the most intense concert scenes I've ever been a part of. And I've seen everybody. Google that. If you go to YouTube and search for Nine Inch Nails Terminal 5 Wave Goodbye Tour, there's some footage from the floor and you'll see, man, they play the heaviest tunes in the catalog.
It's
Absolutely
great.
ripping. Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you ever seen the uncut version of the Happiness and Slavery video?
No.
So I was at the Coast Guard Academy and they had a dance like Leamy Hall at the Academy. And there were these DJs who were playing videos. They brought videos. Dude, the Happiness and Slavery video is like beyond X rated. And they showed it at this dance. I can't even, we can't talk about it on the podcast.
Oh,
It's
really?
like,
It's one of those?
yeah, it's ridiculous. So,
He goes hard, Trent, right?
I mean, the guy here's why Trent Reznor is a genius, right? Here's why he's a genius. He writes about torture and slavery and
Pain,
violence and gore and stuff
suffering.
like this.
Yeah.
And he turns it into pop music
Yeah.
that you can sing along to.
Yeah.
Like Closer is a sing along song. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And this stuff in 1994 was at the top of the charts all the time, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the guy is he's had a tremendous career, and I'd call him a genius because like not only can he mass produce down the lane of his own genre, which is kind of like that, modern metal borderline electronic sound, but then he goes and does a soundtrack, right? Like he did for the Facebook movie. And if you watch that movie and listen to the soundtrack and think of it as Trent writing it for the movie, and how obviously the whole entire soundtrack is done by the same artist with the same mode and themes and feels. Man, there's another work of art, you know what I mean? And the guy that's going up in the movie screen. So Trent can do it all, man. I have a lot of respect for that guy. And I also, one of my favorite pieces that I own of signed rock memorabilia is a signed Trent Reznor of him like dripping with sweat playing a Gibson Les Paul electric guitar. It's really
A
cool.
signed picture or a signed guitar?
A signed photo.
Signed photo. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Even better. Even better, actually.
All right. So one more thing, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what my wife is getting me for my birthday, which is less than a month away?
I could probably guess this if you give me 2 minutes, but what? Another cat?
No.
Another vet?
A signed copy of Barry Hannah's Airships, my favorite author.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, my favorite author of all time, Barry Hannah, his short story collection, Airships. She found a signed copy. So.
Oh, I was going to ask you how she got it signed. I would imagine that if somebody like that would be happy to like sign a book if you sent it to him and sent him a return address.
He's dead.
He's dead anyway.
Yeah.
Good belt. Sorry, I didn't even know he was sick.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Who are some of your other favorite authors, JD, while we're on the subject?
John Updike for sure. David Foster Wallace. You know, stuff like that. So
very interesting. Very interesting. I like basic shit like Nelson DeMille.
Yep.
Really like popcorny stuff, but that's the only stuff that I really read and not much lately. What else? Last one. I think we covered everything, man.
Yeah.
Got around the horn. We nailed the Super Bowl. Hasta la vagina, everybody.
Hasta la vagina.